Mining operations in the United States involve extensive use of highway and off-road trucks. Safe truck haulage should be the foremost concern of everyone in the industry, especially the individual truck drivers, since truck accidents are on the rise. In fact, since 1995, there have been approximately 45 surface haulage fatalities involving trucks. And the most accidents involve trucks backing over berms. A truck driver was fatally injured while attempting to position his truck to dump at a coal surface operation. The right rear wheels over-traveled the edge of the dump, causing the truck to travel backwards down the dump slope and landed upside down in approximately 6 feet of water. The fatality occurred as a direct result of the failure of the mine operator to maintain an adequate dump berm at the pit spoil dump location. Contributing to the severity was the failure of the mine operator to ensure that seat belts, where required, were worn. In this accident, a truck driver was dumping when his truck backed through the berm and traveled down a 444-foot embankment. Upon impact, the employee was thrown through the rear cab window. He died from his injuries. The primary cause of the accident was failure to maintain control of the truck while backing to the dump berm. A second factor was the berm did not impede the truck from over-traveling or overturning at the dump location. The driver was not wearing his seatbelt. In regard to truck safety, one company took it upon themselves to study the berms on their mining property and their relation to the different size trucks. They want to share their findings with you. Watch.
Well, what we've done, as you can see behind me, there's 6 piles that we've constructed to simulate the berms that we use on the dumps where the haul trucks dump the overburden. The farthest 3 berms from me are of a coarse material with a lot of large rocks. The 3 closest to me are the berms that are made out of a softer material.
When I backed into the 8-foot berm, it was the first, which was the first one. It was more solid. Felt like it was solid, even though I felt like I did climb up onto it a little bit. It had a lot less resistance to it than the bigger berm. You can feel yourself climbing up onto the berm more compared to the others.
The truck that you just saw was a 190-ton haul truck that backed into each one of these berms. The first time they backed straight in, and the second time at an angle. As you could see with the first 3 berms with the coarser material, the truck barely made an impact into that berm. The other 3 berms that were made of the softer materials, as you watched the truck back in, the wheels sank deeply into the material. These type berms that are made of the softer material are not of a good construction to stop a haul truck that's traveling at 3 to 4 miles an hour as they back into the berm.
The coarse ones had a lot harder impact on you. You could feel that it was going to stop you, as to where the other berms with the less coarse material, you could feel it getting a little bit squishy as you backed into it, and you could tell that the tires were raising up onto it. You had a lot of resistance, but you could tell that it wasn't a very solid berm.
All berms around the mine are supposed to be half the height of the tire.
It should be a good solid berm, not a false berm that's been fluffed up with the dozer.
One that is high, even with your back tire center, and that it's wide.
What I like to see is the 8-foot berm made out of coarse material. That's just the right height to where it's over half the height of your tire, and it makes you feel safer.
Well, a berm needs to be at least at the middle of the tallest tire of any piece of equipment that you're running on the mine site. And the berm should also be constructed of a material that has some coarse rock and some good bonding material in order for the construction to be adequate. If the berm's made of a softer material, such as loose sand, when the truck backs into the berm, as you can see, the wheels sink deeply into it. And if there's enough speed behind the truck will actually power through the berm and go over the edge.
We've had the left-hand traffic pattern, which helps you to come in on the dump. The berm is always on your left side, giving you a good view of the dump berm itself. You never want to get so close to the berm that you can actually see over the berm. But this way it gives you a good perspective. You can look down the whole berm and see if you notice any cracks or any sloughing. You make your turn, you position, and you ease into the berm. You never use the berm as a stopping device. The berm is just to guide you, to show you where to stop.
We teach our drivers to inspect the berm when they come up to it, and we tell them to stay a certain distance away from it. They need to inspect not only the berm itself, but the dump floor in front of that berm to look for cracks. But they need to look as they make their turn to see if it's an adequate height before they would back up to it.
I'll swing wide and then come down the side of the dump a little bit so I can look at the edge, make sure there's no cracks or anything that's going to harm me when I do back up.
I always like to observe the berm before I back up to it. Make sure if there's, big cracks or anything that might send your truck over, observe it closely before you back into it slowly, because if it's weak and you don't catch it, it could send you plumb over.
Occasionally, if the berm is a little too wide, you won't get it over, it'll come on top, or sometimes if the berm's a little soft or a little low, you might short dump in front of it and let the dozer operator push it over.
Each time that you come onto a dump, you should consider that berm may be used to stop your vehicle in case of brake failure or another mechanical failure of some type. So always look at the quality of that berm, that it's at a center of a wheel height, and that it's of a good material. This indicates that that there may be some loose overburden material that's hanging off the back side of the berm, which as the truck impacts it could cause the berm to slough and let the truck go over the edge.
It's a 190-ton truck. You will get compression cracks in the softer material, which is common. But at the same time, you should never drive over a crack. You see a crack, you let the dump hand or your foreman know exactly what's going on, and that way they can get out and look, see if the dump is bulging or sloughing, and either move you to another dump or continue to dump there and build it up to where it's safe.
I'll call the dozer operator or motion to him that there is a crack in the flooring.
If there's cracks in it, the first thing I'm going to do is notify the dozer operator.
I'd let dispatch know, and so they can send a foreman up here to check them out.
Well, I'll see what I can do. Okay, how fast do you want them to come?
And then let the dozer operator know that I'm not going to back completely up to the berm. Then I'm going to dump it short.
Weather conditions. We've had some real bad weather here lately, and some of the berms got a little bit soft.
Well, the conditions we've had the last few weeks, all the rain, and the snow we've had out here, that breaks down the dirt, makes it mush, and that'll break away if you back in too hard.
Rain affects berms to the point that it'll soften the material up. It actually helps it compact to a point, but once there's too much water in the berm, it becomes unstable and the truck can power through it easier. The berms along the edge of the haul roads, in the event of an accident, are usually going to be impacted at a higher speed, so we tend to make those berms on the haul roads more than center height of the tallest wheel of the vehicles. In the cases that we've seen, if the driver is not aware that he's contacting the berm, if he's preoccupied and drifts over into it, the driver won't even know he's on that berm because of the size of the truck until the truck comes up at a fairly steep angle. Normally, if it's a softer material, it'll actually suck the truck into that berm. As the wheel contacts the soft material, it'll pull it into the berm itself, and the driver sometimes loses control of the vehicle, causing it to ride up onto the berm and flip over.
Most of our berms along our haul roads, especially along the pit edge, will probably be maybe 8 to 10 feet tall. A berm should be built so that a truck cannot go through it because it's ramped up. It should be steep enough so that the truck, when it hits it, will be deflected off of that berm back onto the haul road. We don't want trucks going through that berm. Even on slippery roads, we have the drivers drive as close to that berm as possible so that if the truck does slide, it will bounce off of that berm.
Those berms along the haul roads are lifesavers.
Yes, berms can be lifesavers, but in order to reduce fatalities at surface haulage operations, mobile equipment operators should check the equipment and correct all safety defects before use. Check brakes regularly and keep them in good operating condition. Fasten down any loose objects in the cab and wear seat belts at all times. Never jump from a runaway truck. Stay in the cab. Be alert to road conditions and report unsafe or changing road conditions, just as you would report mechanical defects in your equipment. Never use the berm at dumping points as a bumper block. Back up slowly and stop before contacting the berm. Never dump above an area where material has been loaded out from the toe of a stockpile. A berm that is undercut can look fine from the top of the pile, but only a part of the berm will have a solid base. Remember, your truck has blind spots. Use your mirrors or cameras if available to look for pedestrians or other equipment in your area, and sound your alarm to alert others that your truck is about to be placed in motion. Most importantly, stay alert. Keep your thoughts on performing your job safely and going home to your family at the end of your shift.